What's up, you guys? Welcome to the TheMonValleyFisherman. If you guys haven't checked out my main YouTube channel, make sure to head on over to TheMonValleyFisherman, all one word. TheMonValley Fisherman. Make sure you subscribe over there, hit the notification button so you can know every time that I upload. All right, guys. Well, I think this is a topic that needs to be talked about, and I know I haven't been on this podcast stuff for a while, so I'm gonna keep it up. So here we go. One thing that is concerning me is the handling of trout. Now, don't get me wrong. It's hard sometimes to land a fish, especially if you don't have a net, and but when it comes to trout fishing, especially in catch and release waters, guys, I'm noticing in some of these catch and release waters that these fish are too beat up to be in a fly fishing only section and or an artificial only section that the state stocks or private clubs. It doesn't matter. It's just an overall assessment of the issue that I think that really needs to be addressed. And I think some of you guys should really pay attention as to what you're doing, because you're hurting the fish more than anything else. When you guys are using flies, okay? Now, I know that some of you guys aren't the most hardcore fly guys, and I know that some of you guys have absolutely no idea what you're doing. Not meaning that in a horrible way. I'm not meaning that in a disrespectful way. It's just some of you guys are just getting into fly fishing, which is awesome, because I only got into fly fishing a few years ago. But when it comes down to when I'm catching some of these holdovers and some of these stock trout, I'm noticing that these fish look mangled. Like, I don't know what some people are doing. Guys, look, use barbless hooks first off, all right? Barbless hooks will come out so much easier. So let's say if you're using a streamer or something along those lines with a bigger hook, you're not going to rip that stuff out of their mouth. It's going to slide right out and pop right out, and you can just send them on their way. One thing I want you guys also to look at is a rubberized net if you don't have one. Some of these rubberized nets, guys, it protects the slime coat on these fish. The slime coat is a huge benefit to the fish. And it protects it from disease in the water, protects it from the sun's rays, it protects it from bacteria. I think I already said that, but it helps protect the fish. That slime coat is a big protectant. So wet your hands before you touch any trout. You guys know that they aren't a largemouth or a smallmouth or a walleye or a catfish. They can't take a beating like I've been seeing lately. And it's really disturbing that you guys call yourselves, sportsmen, but yet you guys treat these fish with the absolute most disrespect. And and it's gotten to the point where I have to talk about it. And it's stupid that I have to talk about it. And I'm sorry that I'm saying all this, but it is actually horrendous that I have to talk about this. Some of these fish have scars, rip marks out of their lip. You guys are just ripping this stuff out of their mouth. Bring needle nose. Bring some pliers or something and easily take it out of the fish's mouth. Put them back into the water so someone else can catch them. Give them that same exact feeling as you felt on the end of your rod. Stop being selfish. That's a big problem nowadays in fishing, and I'm noticing. There's a lot of selfishness going on. And in this sport, guys, there is so much to learn. There is so much to learn. And it's honestly I'm 26 years old, and it feels like I have to tell this to some 40-year-old men that have been doing this a lot longer than what I've been doing. So, like, I just need some of you guys to understand, like, this is not going to fly, and especially in some of these catch and release waters. I don't keep any trout, and some of these sections are catch and release only. Now, how do you expect that fish to live when you rip out some of its gills while you're taking hook out? And another thing I'm noticing too, when it comes to fly fishermen, like some of these guys on the internet, like these Facebook pages and stuff, like, look, if you are not prepared, listen, if you are not prepared for what the internet has for you, don't upload nothing to it. Just don't. Stay off of Facebook pages. Why does anybody else need to see the fish that you're catching? ironically speaking, that coming from my angle. But I'm talking about if some of you guys are, mishandling these fish, people are going to call you out on it. People, I mean, there are some times where someone's just being a jagoff just to be a jagoff. And if you don't know what that means, in Pittsburgh, that means like an a-hole, a clown, essentially, a jabroni, all right, in the Rock's terms. So I just feel so frustrated on this topic because, I love the sport. And I'll be honest with you guys, I started out with bass and I've started out with walleye and mainly bass, river fishing. And then I've just found a love for this trout fishing, guys, especially this fly fishing. If you guys have yet to experience it, you got to. I know it's going to be, it looks overcomplicated and it looks like too much work to catch a fish. But guys, when you finally pull the right drift in front of a wild brown trout or a native brookie and you land that fish because of the fly that you tied on or tied or, just game planning from the day before, then that in itself is a feeling that I can't even explain to you. But another thing I need to bring to you guys is I'm noticing on my main channel, okay, I have almost 1,000 subscribers, okay, and about 90% of you are not subscribed that are watching my videos. I'm not calling you guys out or anything like that, but make sure when you hit the subscribe button that you hit the notification button as well. I think that'll help. But let's get back to the topic of the mishandling and handling of fish. So let's say you just hooked into a trout. Okay, you just hooked into a trout. You're fighting him on the fly rod. You get him into the net. Boom, he's in the net. Your next game plan is keep that fish in the water for as long as you can until you get your needle nose or your pliers of whatnot. Pull the fly out of its mouth. Put it back in the water. If you want to take a picture, keep them in the water. Bring out your phone. Lift them out of the water, take a picture, put them back in, release. That's as simple as it has to be. You guys don't need to do a photo shoot for an hour, all right? These trout can't stay out of this. I mean, it's pretty cold out now and whatnot. Like, they'll last a little bit longer outside of the water. But if you're wanting to go back and fish some of these same places, guys, you guys got to really take care of these fish. These trout are very delicate. You hook them with a barb and they're bleeding. I mean, it's what it is. And these stockfish aren't like wild fish, guys. They can't take a certain beating. One big thing I'm noticing too is trash. And it's pathetic. You guys are outdoorsmen. Why are we having trash by these Class A streams or these wild streams? There's no need for it. What are we dumping into the hillside? What are you guys doing? I'm honestly frustrated on this topic. And I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm ranting or downing some of you guys, but some people deserve it. Like, we went to a Class A stream the other day. I find a worm container, nightcrawler container on the ground. All right, man. It's not that hard to pick up after yourselves, guys. And I think you need to start teaching your kids that too, especially when you're out in nature. We want to preserve this for your kids, the next kids, and the next generation, and the next generation. And if we keep going on the path that we are going, I know that you might think, oh, it's just one little guy. Imagine if every single person littered right now in the world. Every single person just threw something out of their car. Imagine what that does to the environment. All right, I figured this is long enough, and I think it's perfectly addressed at the moment. But make sure to head over onto my main channel. If you have any comments about this topic, leave them down below. I'll make sure to comment and talk to you about it, and bring up some topics that you guys would like me to talk about. All right. Talk to you guys later.